great.
All right, so
Cruising.
going back, Panasonic Real 3DO. This is the second version. The first version was like rectangular and it had a drawer that came out. Yeah. And so they tried to save money by having a top load instead of the drawer. You can see it pops up.
Nice.
So the first version had a sliding out drawer that was motorized. So this is the second version. This is more reliable. And honestly, the Panasonic, it was super expensive when it first came out. It was like $700 back in like 1992. Yeah. So in today's money, that's like $1,500, which is insane. Yeah. And that's why, and what's also really weird is it only has one controller. So the way it worked is you plug in the controller and then you plug the other controller into the first controller. And it's stupid.
You got to daisy chain your controllers.
You got to daisy chain your controllers. And you can't, there's no such thing as like 3 or 4 player. It's those two. And now you're tethered to the person next to you, which is also weird because again, your cord is maybe only like 2.5, 3 feet. Right. Stupid design. I don't know why they wouldn't have just put a second port. And obviously NES had already been out. Genesis had already been out.
It's another weird thing too that like a lot of these what we would call unsuccessful consoles had in common that you'd think this would be a no-brainer, but they didn't have any games worth playing on them. Like you gotta have games. They ain't got no games.
Well, that's okay. Gex was really good though. So there was a handful of really, like, people just didn't know they were that good because, honestly, most people didn't even get to the point where games were an issue. $700, immediately, your mom was like, like, she's just not going to give it to you because unless you're, like, stupid rich, you're not getting it. It's the same as the Neo Geo. It was the Neo Geo issue that regular people aren't spending that kind of money. When a Nintendo was $99,
right? You can get Gex on Nintendo 64. So that's how we're gonna do it,
right? And that's really, and the N64 only cost you $250,
yeah,
versus $700, and that's really, and you have to remember that was like $1,600 in equivalent money. So that's just insane. Nobody had it. Your mom immediately just said no. And they didn't even most people didn't even know whether they were good games or not because you only know like what was in the store. And most people just looked at the box anyways. So this is a Super Famicom, the Japanese version of the Super Nintendo.
Looking good.
And then I have a regular Famicom, so that is the NES, the pre-NES.
Looks like it's got Aigi no Yongen in it.
And the interesting thing about these is the controllers are hardwired. They actually attach in the back, and they're not like the regular NES where you plug in the controllers.
Right. They're stuck in there.
They're stuck. They're permanent. And that's really an issue because, again, you only have 2.5 feet of cord.
Right, so you got to sit real close to the...
But back then, TVs were like 13 inches.
Right, so you had to sit close to the TV anyway.
Yeah, it wasn't an issue. All right, so I do have a Nintendo Entertainment System, NES Advantage stick, zapper gun, hanging out with my buddy. Don't mess with him.
and makeshift Behringer Miraculous piano system.
Oh, it's a guitar. It's a yeah. So that, obviously I'm using a CRT monitor, 32-inch, and I use it mainly for my old school systems. It's just kind of cool. It does look noticeably different because obviously modern TVs, they look different with the lines, the scan lines. And then also you have an issue with aspect ratio because the new TVs are 16:9 and so it stretches them out and so Mario looks like he's gained weight. So we got an Atari, that's a 7800, and it was backwards compatible. It would play the 2600 games. Mm-hmm. So if you had a 7800, you didn't need a 2600. I've been wanting to buy a 2600 just because I had one.
Yeah.
But
I understand that feeling.
I just haven't come around to it yet. And then I've got a Grafx.
Ooh, that's the one.
That is the bee's knees right here. And this is a whole rabbit hole that you don't want to go down. And I will tell you because I also have a PC Engine upstairs. And this is like, you think at first, oh, I'll just get a TurboGrafx and everything will be great. And then you find out that the controllers are impossible to get. And then you find out that if you want the CD attachment, on eBay it's like $800. And it's like, oh God. So then you have to track one down, right? And I know where one is, but I don't want to deal with her because it's at the stupid hoarder's house. Like, I hate hoarders. I have a friend, I have this girl that I grew up with, and she's a hoarder. And to the point where the county came and said, like, if you don't throw shit away and clean your yard, we're gonna foreclose on your house and take it away from you, because, like, it was just stacked with, like, washing machines and bicycles and
just junk.
Well, she just drives around town and picks up crap on garbage day.
Classic.
And thinks that like everything has value, and everything doesn't have value, and everything just because it's old doesn't mean it's special. And I have to, and she wants to
spend
like
$800.
She wants to hang out.
she wants to hang out, and she wants a little something on the side, and she smells like garbage, and I don't want to deal with it.
You gotta pay $800 to the cleaning crew to dig it out.
God, and go to the doctor afterwards. And,
You're paying more than money.
yeah, it's not worth the antibiotics. So, anyways, TurboGrafx, it's really a weird thing, because then you also find out that the games are not all compatible. So then you need these, like, there are certain cards, so these hue cards, right? They go in here. The games are on these funny little,
Right.
which are really cool, right? They're these flat little cards. And honestly, a Nintendo and a Genesis, this is all you really needed anyways.
Yeah.
Because in reality, it's just a flat little chip inside. And the rest is just like, to make it look impressive. But the interesting thing is with the CD, you need upgrade cards because all the CDs won't play on the system. And you need like almost like now, you would have like an update.
Oh, wow.
So it becomes a whole mess of, like, I have a whole bunch of PC Engine games, and then I would have to import this special card to make all the games play, because not all of them play. And then it's just, and what's even weirder is the controllers, right? So there's no backwards compatibility between a TurboGrafx and a PC Engine. So the controllers don't work with each other. The AC adapter doesn't even fit. So the AC adapter for this isn't the same as the PC Engine one. They're not even the same like voltage.
So don't even try.
And getting that with the right little plug and the right voltage. So I had to get, and I'll show you upstairs, like I had to get this weird universal with a little turn knob where you can adjust to make it work. And it just becomes, it's the never-ending cluster. And then what's even worse is these were made really, really cheaply, and so the capacitors actually all go bad over time. And so most of these, if you buy them online, you have to get one that's been recapped.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it won't work.
A delicate machine
So
that you need to.
I really had a discussion with my wife about possibly going to trade school for a year to learn how to do that kind of stuff, so that I can do it, so I don't have to worry about it.
yeah, it's not a skill of mine. You just have to look, and you look for somebody who either recaps them after the fact, or you can go to like a game store, or I buy one that's already been recapped and hope that they did it right.
Right.
And then that becomes a whole mess. So you end up spending, I have probably, thinking that like just a handful of TurboGrafx games, and I still don't have Pong. Like I so after all this, I've probably spent like $5,000 on TurboGrafx bullshit, and I still don't have the one game I want to play.
The game.
That's like
you don't.
the Mario.
You don't have Mario for.
So that's life with TurboGrafx. I will tell you, every other system is 10 times easier to collect. Don't even bother with the TurboGrafx unless you're like die hard. That it's honestly like buying a Ferrari. It's just not worth it.
You don't need the competition anyway.
It's probably easier. It's probably cheaper to buy a Neo Geo or something.
Right.
Because I've never heard of Neo Geos falling apart. Like, they seem to be well made and they didn't disintegrate. But the TurboGrafx, it's a nightmare.
Nice. Okay.
So, all right, I have more first gen.
Yeah, what else you got?
These all came from Texas guy.
Ooh. Look at this.
That it's a Pong clone, and it was
APF TV Fun.
It was
Model 442.
popular in Japan.
Yeah, it's got the little turny knobs on it.
Yeah, it's a Pong clone. And then this is a Sears Pong, but it's actually made by Atari. It was just made exclusively for Sears.
God, that's really weird how they did things back then before they figured it out. The Sears exclusive Telegames Pong.
Right, and there wasn't any sort of like quality, like, you know, anybody can make games, anybody
Well,
can sort of,
this one is official by Atari. As you can see, it has an Atari.
Yeah.
So Sears actually licensed Atari to make a specific Pong unit just for Sears distribution. And at the time, Sears was the largest retailer in the world, so they could do that.
Yeah.
Go that, buy yourself a couple shirts, and
Yeah.
go upstairs and buy a lawnmower.
Now, the interesting thing about this is it's actually one piece. So where the other ones would have maybe like controllers or something,
Yeah, all right, I can see the difference between the other ones.
it's similar to that pinball where the speaker is actually in the unit, and then you play your two-player like this. And this only has one game. It's only Pong.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Where the pinball has like 5 or 6.
Look how crispy the white is. Like,
Yeah, that's
it's
in great condition.
Yeah, it's in really great condition.
Yeah, same guy from Texas I bought them from. And not all at the same time. Like over the course of maybe about 6 months I bought these.
Was he like the original owner of these things, or he was just a guy who acquired them?
I think he bought like a warehouse and it was just full of electronics because he had a whole bunch of other stuff, and I kept being asked whether I wanted it. Was like old fax machines and like
Any old stuff. I mean, that's like dead stock almost.
Yeah.
It looks
that
great.
looks great.
Have you
And
plugged any of these things in and tried?
yeah, they all work.
Nice.
They all work. So I've tested them. I love this. I mean, yeah, I didn't grow up with, because this is pre. I mean, I was born in 1980. This is late 70s.
Yeah. Just a little ahead of us.
A little ahead of us, and by the time I was a kid, it was 2600. So you had cartridge based. But this is how it started. First gen. I mean, if you're going to be into video games, there's nothing. This is the caveman, the first
Right.
real.
You gotta
So,
know where you came from.
yeah.
You know? Nice. Very nice.
And then this one, I'll show you the APF. And there's a million of these clones. These clones are like, there's probably 100 different clones from different companies. This looks like a Scientology thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine because of your fate and
Confess your sins. All right, so this was popular in Japan. And basically the way you did it is you held it, and you would twist this for left and right.
Oh.
They don't come off. It's just a left and right. Instead of having like a scroll wheel on the unit, you had these controllers.
Okay.
And these were, obviously they plug in
Yeah.
the back. So they were removable controllers.
Yeah, the action
They didn't
on
have
this one's a little
buttons.
tight.
They didn't have buttons or anything. It literally is just back and forth, because the Pong just goes, the paddle. And you can feel the quality is very different than the other unit because it's pretty hollow.
Yeah, it's wood paneling.
Yeah, but it feels thin. Like you
Yeah.
can feel that that's built for cost, not for.
This one's got hockey, handball, and practice on it. So
Yeah, practice just has one. It was just like against a wall.
Easy mode. Oh.
No. There's instead of two player, it's just a single player.
Against yourself. Just
Yeah.
whacking it against the
But you can adjust angle and bat size and ball speed between professional and amateur.
There you go. Yeah, it made the
sophisticated.
paddle wider.
Ah.
Imagine if they still had to make games like this. Like, here we go, we're gonna play Breath of the Wild. here's this giant entire room filled with consoles of everything that you have to do to adjust everything to play the game.
Oh, this one has an extra game, so you need a new console. There's an extra level. So, new console time.
That's great stuff.
Yeah, stuff like this is just great just to have.
Yeah.
And he was giving me for like $25-$30 a piece. And at that kind of price, because normally these things run for $200-$300, depending how rare they are. And couldn't pass it up. Getting these back in the thing is difficult, though.
Another endeavor.
Yeah, I'll deal with that later.
We use camera magic to make it happen instantaneously.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna hit.
Alright,
Pause for a
temporarily, I'm
second.
just gonna put this in the back.
Yeah, no
Get it
worries.
out of the- Surprisingly, for not being a video game collector, I have a lot of video games, and what's funny is I wouldn't consider myself a collector, because the collectors I always think of like when you go to that game store, those people are collectors.
Yeah.
You know,
See that.
there's a mindset that's very different. So we have a PC Engine Duo. So this goes back into my TurboGrafx issue. So because I was having issues with TurboGrafx costing ridiculous amounts of money, like each game online was like $100, $200.
Yeah.
I found it was easier to buy a PC Engine Duo and import my games. Now, there's also other issues with that. You have the compatibility issues. Controllers aren't compatible. Power cable is not compatible. This, I am using this thing that actually allows me to change my
Voltage?
voltage.
Input?
Yeah,
okay.
it allows me to change my voltage
Interesting.
to match.
Some kind of power
Because the
converter.
voltage isn't the same on this or as the TurboGrafx. They use different voltage, which is dumb. So that is how I got around it, and it has a universal different heads on the back.
Yeah. Well, the hyper controller, okay.
Well, so I had to buy aftermarket
Yeah.
because again, otherwise I have to buy PC Engine controllers, which are hard to get. I have to import them. That's going to be another $200.
Alrighty.
It just keeps adding up. It's the never ending. And then also, here's what I was talking about, the update chip.
Oh, this
So I
is-
can play all the games. And what's even funnier is I still can't play all the games. I have to get a different upgrade chip if I want to play certain games.
That's wild. Now, does the game, can you just tell, or do you just have to know the game, like, needs this upgrade?
So what happens is sometimes it doesn't play at all. Sometimes you just get the opening screen, just the title, and it doesn't go anywhere.
Freeze, okay.
And it just stuck on the title. Sometimes it will get to a menu and let you pick, stuff, and it won't go anywhere beyond the menu.
Gotcha. That's wild. So PC Engine is basically the Famicom of...
It's the Famicom of the
the
TurboGrafx.
TurboGrafx.
It's the Japanese version. Again, you have the issue with having to recap. So this one's been recapped. Another interesting thing is to try to fix the whole power issue, because apparently the power was very inconsistent. Somebody replaced and put a new port on this. So not only did they recap it, they also changed the power input plug,
Okay.
because I guess it was just impossible to find a connector that actually worked. So this one's using a Genesis pin
Oh.
style.
Okay. Interesting.
So that's
modified.
another, it's modified. It's really weird. And because of that, it doesn't lay flat, which is why I put it on this.
Oh, okay. Janked.
Yeah, so again, and this is just like the never ending with this system. It's the bane of my existence these days.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I have it now, and I feel like I've gone down that road so much I can't stop. But I highly recommend, just don't bother.
So this, so this plays discs and the cards.
Yeah, so it plays the Hue card here, or it will play CD.
You use this one at all?
It's hooked up. I have been using it. Mainly, I don't use the TurboGrafx as much because I've been importing PC Engine games.
Yeah.
They're cheaper.
Are a lot of those games in English or have
No,
options?
no. Most of them are in Japanese. These days, though, like my phone, I use a Samsung, and it has a translator.
point it.
I just point it and it.
You know, I've done that before too with some games, and it's a little cumbersome, but you know.
It gets me by. It's mainly
Yeah.
the menus. So your home menus, like when you're selecting things, if I don't know what it says, I don't know what to select.
All right.
And the other way around would be just randomly push every button until it gets somewhere.
Right. What are you playing? What kind of games do you like to play?
So the PC Engine was really good at flying shooter games. That's really like every system has their strength, and I would say TurboGrafx, PC Engine, games like Gradius,
Yeah.
and 20 million other Gradius-like games.
Right. Just lots of moving stuff on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely faster, and the sound is much better than what you would expect from a NES at that time period. Another thing that it's really good at is if you like anime, they seem to make a game for every anime that ever existed, even like super obscure ones. So
Nice.
there's Ranma games, there's like Sailor Moon games. You've got anime games just for everything. They're not necessarily good.
All right. They're just here's this franchise, and it's a game.
And there's a game. And so a lot of them are like text-based games. There's a lot of those dating sims where there's just you read and you're.
Oh, those ones are tough because it's like you want to get into them, but it's just like there's a lot of reading.
There's a lot of, well, and particularly I don't read Japanese, so it's a dredge. It's real. I just can't.
Sure.
I own some just out of curiosity. You know, like what would make sense would be to do a Street Fighter game that's like, say, Dragon Ball Z. You know, like wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
And that did exist, but it's super hard. Like every other one is just like Goku talking. And here's Cell, and he's talking, and there's no like straightforward just
like the
just a fighting
episodes, they
game,
just
yeah.
fill time.
Oh god. So there's a lot of that, and that's another reason why I say don't bother, because you end up spending so much money and time. It's not just the money, because like this system will run you about $500
Okay.
like this, and then you have to spend the time on tracking down the games. I use a forwarding service from Japan to get stuff, so it's not easy to get games. Otherwise, I have to pay at a game store 3 times the value.
Right.
So I import them myself. It takes a while to get, and then once you get them, half the games blow, and you have no idea. Like I'm literally sitting there on YouTube and hoping somebody uploaded like a walkthrough,
Right.
because otherwise you don't know. And you get it and like they suck, and then you feel like I just spent whatever amount of money and time. It took me
Right.
3 months to get the shitty game, and
So I feel like when you were a kid, it's like, you know, all you had to go on was the box art, whatever was going on.
Yeah.
It's like, well, is it good? I don't know.
yeah,
But
so
it looks like it could be.
it could be. Some of the games are good, and don't get me wrong. Like Bonk is good. All the Gradius type games are for the most part pretty good. There's what is Cotton has like a pink-haired girl. She's like flies on
Oh,
a.
yeah, like a
It's
flying
like
shooter.
it's like a flying shooter, right?
Yeah,
And
it's-
that Cotton game, and they're still making the Cotton games. I have a new version on the Switch, and that is phenomenal. So flying shooters, that's really their thing.
Queued 'em up.
I
they
think that's what they call them.
That's
yeah.
what they call it, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great, and it's like the base of that series. So,
Okay.
and a lot of people don't know that it was originally a PC Engine game. So yeah, no, there's some good stuff, but there's also a lot of schlock.
So there's a lot of, aside from the money investment, there's time. Like you said, it's chasing. It's a lot of chasing down.
It's a lot of work, and I would say this is not the beginner. The easiest to get into if you want to do something obscure and weird is right here, the family computer, the Famicom. This is the AV version. So the one that was downstairs uses the RF switch. This one has what looks like
the Super
Nintendo, right?
I just brought one of those bad boys back to life.
And
One sitting on the shelf for a while, and it just didn't work. I tore it apart, cleaned it out, and now we're firing on all cylinders.
You got the NES top loader, right?
yeah, so the 101, the NES 101, and ironically, I've actually had the 101 next to this, and they're not the same.
I can
Most
tell that
people,
one looks slightly different.
most people think they are the exact same, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's an NES 101," and I'm like, "No." So the difference is the 101 has like an arch here, and this is flat. And also this little piece here has a different depth.
Okay.
So that's different here. And then the 101 has an arch. And obviously the game cartridge controller is obviously the game cartridges are wider.
Yeah.
Because of the Famicom.
That's a Kunio-kun. That's River City Ransom, isn't it?
Yeah, it's River City Ransom.
Yeah.
But fortunately, it does use regular NES controllers. So it's not, they didn't get weird. Now that would have come with the dog bone.
Yeah, the dog bone.
Which are impossible to find. And when you do find them on eBay, they're like $100 a piece.
That's wild.
I don't know what happened to it, but I love that.
I'm still, and the worst is, I saw them at the flea market, and some guy was selling them for $15. And this is before I knew that the dog bones were that hard to find, and I should have just grabbed them.
Yeah.
That's where the fun is.
Are they open on the weekdays or no?
No. Weekend only. Weekend only. Saturday, Sunday. So here we have Renegers and we have the Central Florida Fairgrounds.
Yeah.
So the Fairgrounds is different because it's not curated. It's a lot of people buy storage units and then they just dump them. Now the prices are good, but a lot of the time you're sifting through people's used underwear.
That's not so good.
Dirty shoes and crap. And versus Renegers is more curated. It's more actual stores.
Yeah, Renegers is good. Been there a few times for sure.
But you're going to pay a little more because it's curated. But at the same time, you're not wasting time. They have stuff that's very...
The time and money trade-off.
Yeah. It's the same. People ask me why I don't go to garage sales. And you end up going to like 5 garages and getting one thing. And you're driving around town. And usually it's just nothing of interest.
Right, it's a lot of sifting through stuff to find that one or two.
That one or two items, and you're hoping that the person who's having the garage sale is somebody cool. Otherwise, you're looking through some grandmother's old...
underwear.
Yeah.
I love RAD Chaser. He is handsome and smart.